Make a pot for your succulent using the pinch pot technique. Cactus Pots Project 1, Step 9. Decorating, Painting with Slips, Part 1. Hello and welcome back to the decorating part of our videos. This is a really exciting step in which the pots will really come to life. There will be 3 decorating videos, part 1, 2 and 3. And in the first part, I'm going to be talking about painting the background onto your pots. And then in the second part, I'll be doing the detailed work. And in the third part, we'll be finishing up and I'll show you a little extra, which is a technique called sgraffito that I hope that you will enjoy. Okay, so this is a decorating slip here. This is the yellow. And as you can see, it is quite thick. This is clay with colour added to it. Okay, firstly, let me go through some health and safety for you. Like many kinds of paint, decorating slips in their liquid form contain materials that should not be ingested, and by that I mean please don't eat or drink them. When decorating, please do not use anything that may also be used for food or drink to wash your brushes in, such as kitchen cups, glasses or bowls. It is best to have something which is dedicated to art to wash your brushes in. So if at this stage you don't have anything like that, I would recommend that you delay doing this step until you found some containers such as an old yogurt pot or an old ice cream tub or maybe a takeaway container, and use that for the brushes, and then you can dedicate it to art afterwards. Please do not eat, drink or smoke while using these products. This is because it's only too easy to accidentally dip your brush into your cup of tea if you happen to be having tea while you're decorating. Please wash your hands with soap and water and wash your tools and brushes thoroughly afterwards. Any raw clay materials such as decorating slip or the clay that you have used to make your cactus pot out of will create dust once it dries out. This dust can be hazardous to health. So after working, please vacuum around your work area. If you have a tiled floor or wooden floor or lino, please mop. And wash all surfaces down with clean water and a damp sponge. So this big sponge that's in your pack is perfect for that. And then wipe dry with a clean cloth or towel. And if you can't get to your pots to us before they completely dry out, then please store them in a sealed container. So like a sealed Tupperware box would be perfect. And in there they will be nice and safe, and also they won't be creating dust in your home. We've also included a big plastic bag inside your kit, so you can use that to cover your table with. Where I'm working on a surface that is only used for art, so I won't be eating off my table, so I don't have the cover, but please feel free to use that if you need. Okay, so without further ado, I will go on and show you the different slip colours. So this here is the drawing I did in the video earlier, and this is a palette showing most of the slip colours that we've got available. And the basic kit comes with black, white and royal blue. So this is the black here with the glaze on it. You can see where this colour is strongest, and the royal blue there. There isn't a white on this palette. The white does turn out very much like this. Okay. For this project, I have used as extras the yellow for the inside of my pot and the dark green for the outside, which is here. I also used the cactus green, the mid brown, the purple, it's there, and the mandarin which is orange right there. Okay. But if you don't want to purchase all these colours, you also could adjust your design to take that into account and do a simpler design, or you could mix the colours like you mix paints, and for that you would need some kind of palette. Here we've got like a takeaway container lid, and I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. This is my finished part, which I made earlier so that I could show you what we'll be working towards in the next 3 videos. Okay. So for this project from your pack, you will need to grab the 2 paint brushes that you have. This is the soft bristle brushes, so a white brush and a thin brush, which would be in your pack, and the brush with the stiff bristle, which was used during the joining videos. Also the skewer. And there will also be some cardboard. This is for putting your pot on. And now for the little extras that you will need, it's a good idea to cut a bit of newspaper or paper, any kind of paper, to pop on your cardboard there. Your pot will be standing here when you're decorating, and this way, if any of the slip gets on it, you can always swap these out if they get too messy. Okay. Also from your pack, grab the 2 sponges, and as I was saying before, a tub of water for washing the brushes in. And I also have a hairdryer. Now this one is from the art studio, which is why it's got paint on. The hairdryer isn't absolutely necessary, but it does help speed things up if you would like to use that. Okay, so I'm going to grab my leather hard pot. Now when you're working, you will be working with the pot standing this way up, but for the purposes of this video, what I'll do is I'll turn it upside down so that you can see what is happening as I'm working. What will happen here is if the pot's this way up, then some of the slip won't go onto the bottom because that's covered up like that, and I think that's preferable to having it this way, where some of it doesn't get right to the edge and the edge is a bit messy. But of course, feel free to work on them both ways, whichever way suits you best. Okay, so firstly, what I'd like to show you is how to mix your colours in case you would like to. Now, these colours, because they have clay in them and they're not pure pigment, they will not create a particularly bright colour, but you can always give it a go. And if you'd like to do so, then for instance, if you have yellow, you can grab some of it with one of the brushes. So I'll just move everything up so you can see. There we go. You can put some on the palette with one of the brushes. And then, because I'm changing colours, I'm going to grab another brush. So I'll just use the thin brush for that. This brush, keep it dry for later. That one we'll be using later. So it's a good idea to keep it dry. And now let me see, where did the blue go? Here we are. So to make green, that's yellow plus blue. So I'm going to put some of this blue here, and you're going to need a fair bit. So and then mix them together. So as you see, that will create a fairly muted kind of a green colour. But if you compare that to, for instance, the cactus green that we have, it's quite a nice, turns into quite a nice bright green there. So I'm really quite hopeful that this is fairly close. Okay, and I made a little button earlier when I was testing this out. So if you have a look at this is dried now, so the colour lightens as it dries. And I'll turn off one of the lights, see if you can see that. But this is the cactus green on this side, and on this side is the colour that I made. And they seem fairly similar. So give it a go with mixing your colours if you would like to do that. What works best, I think, with these is mixing white or black into them to lighten and darken them, which can give you an amazing amount of possibilities to work with. So one thing that is good to know here as well is that sometimes your colours separate out into water and clay, particularly if they've been standing around. I don't know if you can see, but there is quite a bit of water on top of this one. This is the purple, which I'll be using later in the second video. And if what you need to do is just close it, so make sure it's really firmly closed, and then give it a really good shake. And what that will do is mix the water through the clay and turn it back into a good consistency to work with. So if I open that up, you can see that's mixed up now and ready to use. That happens just because the clay is a little bit heavier than the water, so the clay goes to the bottom and the water goes to the top. That's quite normal. Okay, so I'm going to get that out of the way. And now, because I want to start working with the dark green to make the background, I'm going to wash this brush. So just give it a really good wash in the water. Okay, wipe it on the edge. And get one of your sponges and just wipe it on the sponge like so. Okay, and that's ready to use. And I'll get this out of the way. Okay. So I'll be applying the dark green because that is my background. And firstly, what I'm going to do is just apply the green up and down in brush strokes, going up and down like that. And when you want to move your pot around, don't touch the pot itself because you don't want to touch it when the slip's wet. Just move the cardboard. Okay, the slip doesn't take long to dry, so it'll be drying before your eyes, and you will see that it will change from a kind of shiny to a matte. Okay, so here we go. But you want to apply it in thin layers. That's because if you keep brushing over wet slip, what happens is that you just move the slip around. So you take some off. See how here I'm just taking it off because it's wet. So I need to wait for that to dry a little bit before it will take more colour. So I'm going to keep going all the way around, brushing up and down to do the first coat. And I think the thing that goes wrong for most people who would like to have a really nice flat background here is that you use too much slip at once, and that gets really messy and creates some problems. So what we want to do is apply it in nice thin strokes. Okay, and so that's my first layer done. And if I'm very patient, I can wait for this to get touch dry, or I can cheat a little bit and use my hairdryer. So I'm just going to turn that on. It's just warm and it's on a low setting. And just make sure that my inspiration doesn't fly away. Now, when you're doing this, you want to move the air around the pot. Okay, don't concentrate it on any one spot. That can dry it out too much. Just move it around, and you need to do it only for a few seconds, just like that. And now you can see that the slip is quite matte, and if I touch it, it's still not quite ready over here. Here it's ready. Here, see, it made a fingerprint. Okay, it came off a little bit, felt a bit sticky. Whereas here, it's not coming off on my finger and it's not leaving a fingerprint. So that bit needs a little bit more. Okay, and it should look all matte, and now I can add the second layer to it. So here I'm going to start painting the second layer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint crosswise. This is so, because I don't want to see any brush marks. So I'm going to go across 90 degrees to the brush marks that I made before, because the last time I was going up and down with the brush. And what that does is it covers more of the bits where you might have been seeing the clay underneath showing through. Now it really depends on how leather hard your pot is, how fast the slip will dry, and also on the thickness of the slip in your pots. It should all be pretty much the same as mine, but sometimes the slip might be a little bit thicker or a little bit more watery, and that will depend on how many layers of this you should do. Basically, if you see any bits of clay kind of shining through like that, that needs a little bit more. Okay, so you'll be able to see the clay underneath the sort of whitish colour of the clay, and you'll know if you need another layer or not. With this one, I think I am going to do a third layer once this layer is touch dry. Okay, so because I went crosswise here, on the next layer I would go up and down, but only after this pot was touch dry. So I'm just going to turn this over to show you what it's like now, and if you want to turn your pot over at any point, please make sure that it is touch dry before you touch it, otherwise you will destroy your work. You'll get fingerprints everywhere and you'll get the slip all over your fingers. So just dry it for about 10 seconds or so, getting the air all the way around the pot, and before you pick it up, just touch it, see whether it's sticky, whether it's leaving fingerprints. If it's not leaving fingerprints, then you can pick it up, and the easiest way is to grab it by the newspaper underneath, and then you can hold it and turn it the right way up. So you see what I meant, that the slip runs down here somewhat sometimes. This is the bit I couldn't paint because it was sitting on the newspaper. With this bit of newspaper, it's got some dry slip on it, which can sort of go flying off next time with the hairdryer. So I'm just going to pop that in the bin and use a fresh bit of newspaper and continue working on my pot. So I'm going to finish the rim. I'm going to do the rim green, and then I'm going to paint the inside white, yellow, with yellow to do the sunshine on the inside, and yeah, and as I said earlier, I'll do a third layer on the outside just to make sure that it is really nice solid green. So that's what I'll be doing, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video where we'll be doing the details. So I'll show you how to paint the trees and the leaves on. Okay, see you then. Bye.